right, guys, welcome back. Here we are yet again. I know you guys missed us last week, but listen, we did some interviews and kind of filled in the gaps. Don't hate us. Waleed was on vacation, blame him. But anyways, we had a pretty good flyweight title fight happen. Deiveson Figueiredo is now our flyweight champion. We finally got a flyweight title here, Waleed. Finally, somebody has caught that flyweight championship. And honestly, it makes me think, well, what would happen if Demetrius Johnson was still in the UFC? I would love to see that matchup one day. Demetrius Johnson versus Deiveson Figueiredo, that'd be a great fight.
Yeah, I agree with you. That would have been a great fight, even though I think that maybe I would rather see the third fight between Demetrius Johnson and Henry Cejudo, because I think that he won the two first, but whatever happened. So,
do you think possibly at ONE FC that could ever happen again?
If Henry goes to ONE FC, that would be great. Why not?
It'd be an interesting situation. I mean, I think it's something that could very well happen.
Well, do you know something that I don't know? Do you think that Henry's actually negotiating with the ONE FC?
I don't think that he's negotiating with the ONE FC. I think he's still under contract with the UFC. Or if he was smart, he played out his contract. I don't know. I want to say he's still under contract with the UFC, though.
So when you retire, you actually still under contract?
Well, it all depends. See how his contract was signed. If he left fights on his contract, you could retire, but the UFC still owns your fight career. You know what I mean? So say I want to say somebody like Conor McGregor. Yeah. Conor McGregor was signed to something like a stupid 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 fight deal or some shit like that. I want to say it was 8 to 10 fights. Okay. Conor was obviously never going to fight 8 to 10 fights, but that was a guarantee that they had Conor locked up for the rest of his life.
Okay, I get it.
So at the end of the day, you can retire all you want, but if the UFC still owns your contract for 2 years or for 2 fights, because that's usually what it is, it's fights. So if you still have a fight or 2 left on your contract, there's nothing really you can do without the UFC giving you the approval.
Okay, I get it.
So say he wanted to go, unless he was smart about it and he played his contract out. If he wanted to go to something, say like a boxing match, the UFC would have to give their approval.
Yeah, but having a manager like Ali Abdelaziz, I think
that's in the business.
Yeah, nah.
That's in the business. A lot of people give that dude shit, but listen, I will go to war with Ali Abdelaziz. That dude, I want him in my corner. He literally takes care of all his fighters.
Yeah,
When have you ever heard any of them not get paid, not get the title shots they deserve? You know what I mean? Like ridiculous amount. If Tony Ferguson was an Ali Abdelaziz fucking fighter, he would have got a title shot years ago.
Maybe. Yes, we can argue. We can argue about that, but for sure, Ali Abdelaziz take care of his fighter. That's 100%. Yeah, we can't.
Over the years, only one person has ever left him. That's a huge compliment.
Yeah.
Up and down on this fight card, I know that you're going to give it a lot of shit and say it wasn't that great. Up and down on this fight card, I enjoyed myself. I thought there were a ton of great performances and a ton of great fights. The main card, in my opinion, was fucking great from top to bottom. But let's start up on the prelims. The preliminary portion of the card that started the fight was a heavyweight fight. So I know how you like to start them with the heavyweights.
Yeah.
This one was not as exciting as you would like. Carlos Felipe makes his UFC debut. He was 8-0 while coming into this fight, and he's now 8-1. He lost to Sergey Poivov. Poivov just really put it on him. He, had 3 takedowns out of 7. He completely controlled him on the ground and on the feet. He was just working him. Significant strikes for Spivov were 73 to Philippe's 44. In my opinion, Spivov won all 3 rounds, but I still would love to see Philippe and to see what he can continue to do as he develops in his career.
Yes, Sergey actually really controlled everything in this fight, the grappling part, the striking part. So I agree with you. I would like to see Carlos Felipe again, just to see how good he actually really is. I think that maybe we didn't have the chance to really see what he's capable of in this fight.
Yeah, one thing that we definitely seen was Arman Sarkookian, and we seen exactly what he was capable of, and he put it on Davy Ramos in his UFC debut. Davy Ramos is no slouch. He's fought the best of the best in the UFC, and Arman Sarkookian has really just went in there and made it look silly. 118 total strikes out of 46, 97 significant strikes. Davy Ramos has never been taken down in his entire UFC career.
Yeah.
In my opinion, Arman got two. One that you could not, he shot a double on him. It was beautiful.
Yeah.
Arman Sarkookian has kickboxing. He's got beautiful wrestling. He's got a full mixed martial arts package coming out of Russia, or what is it, Dagestan. There's a huge wave of these guys coming over, like you said, man. You've been saying it. You've been saying it for a long time.
They're taking over. They're actually really taking over. I know that McGregor been the one saying that we're not taking part, we're taking over, but the Russian, the Dagestanis, especially, they are really the ones they are taking over the MMA world right now. And Arman is a fighter that I believe is actually a 5-round fighter fighting in 3 rounds fights right now, because
dude, his cardio is amazing.
Yeah, we're talking about volume, dude. 5 takedowns attempts. He got one against the guy that, like you said, never been taken down.
Never been taken down. Davy Ramos is 100% takedown defense. Not anymore. 99.9, sir.
So striking wise, Arman was pretty good. Yeah.
Chris, beautiful strikes.
Yeah, nonstop. Like he actually maybe hit Davy with double the amount of strikes that he actually that Davy hit him with. So. Great performance by Arman, and I think that hopefully we will see more of him in the UFC.
I definitely think we see more of him. I think the sky's the limits for this kid. The lightweight division has a new star by the name of Arman Sarkookian. Joe Rogan even himself shouted him out and said that was the most impressive performance, especially what he did to somebody like Davy Ramos. Yeah. In the bantamweight division, Amir Al-Bazi defeated Malcolm Gordon by a beautiful submission, 4 minutes and 42 seconds into that round. It was a simple game plan. Go in there, take him down, get a submission. He did just that.
And he did it perfectly. Listen, sometimes the game plan works out, and it works out perfectly. You just take him down. You hit him a little bit, and then you go for the submission. And it was perfectly. It was a mere really.
It really was an excellent performance. It was flawless.
Yeah, of course.
In the bantamweight division, Brett Johns defeated Montel Jackson by unanimous decision. Montel Jackson got a big knockdown in the very first round. I thought that gave him the first round. I did think that Brett Johns did enough in the last 2 rounds. What was your opinion of the fight?
Listen, when you watch a fight and you see a knockdown, of course, while watching the fight, the knockdown will stay in your head, and you will think that maybe I agree with you. The first round he won it, no doubt
first
about
round
it.
For sure, Montel won that one.
But then the 2 others, I think that the takedowns.
Brett Johns really controlled him with the takedowns.
And that's what I think. So. The end of the day, do you judge the first round as a 10-8 or a 10-9? So
I think that Brett Johns was definitely doing enough in the first round that it was a 10-9. He clearly lost the round because of the knockdown, but I definitely think he did enough to give him that 9 instead of an 8. Obviously.
Sometimes when you watch a fight, a lot of fans, when they see a knockdown in their head, it's like a knockdown equal a 10-8 round.
No, for sure.
Yes, in this part, it wasn't like that.
Do me a favor, sit back. There you go. Let's see your pretty little face. Irish Joe Duffy, man, he decided to call it a career after his 3rd straight loss. Joel Alvarez got him with a beautiful submission 2 minutes and 25 seconds into their first round. Man, Irish Joe Duffy was the very first person to beat Conor McGregor. He didn't really ever get it going in the UFC.
Yeah.
Joel Alvarez, though, looked very good.
It's crazy how a guy that submitted Conor McGregor actually didn't have the career, or not even close of a career that McGregor had in the UFC.
He never even scraped title contention.
And he's a great fighter. His ground game is great. It's kind of ironic that he lost this fight by submission, but Duffy is a very, very good fighter.
Talented guy, very talented. Yeah. I mean, you don't just beat Conor McGregor for no reason. Exactly. I mean, Conor McGregor is one in a generation talent. another one in a generation talent that somebody was talking about, Ronda Rousey. We'll get into this a little later. She was talking about sorry, fuck. Why am I fucking drawing a blank right now? The kid out of fucking Shabazian. She's talking about that kid's a one in a generation talent. I'm excited to see Shabazian. I really think that that kid could do some things. Sorry for going off on a random little left field for you guys real quick. But catchweight, Grant Dawson defeated Nad Nurmati. I think Dawson fought a perfect fight I mean, if you really look at it too, the 2 takedowns were a huge factor. He outstruck Nurmati 136-57. I mean, those are huge numbers. Even if they were just little strikes, at the end of the day, it adds up.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that it was a clear, unanimous decision. I think that there was no debate. Dawson just did the perfect fight.
Now, listen, we're going to talk about perfect fights yet again. Rahman Daladiz defeated Khalidis, or whatever the fuck his last name is, by a beautiful head. Well, it started with the head kick, finished it up on the ground. He didn't even really need to finish it up on the ground. He head kicked him and hit him right with his knee, finished it up with some monster right hands on the ground. Unfortunately for Khalidis, he was stuck looking back at Rahman for about 30, 40 seconds after the fight, just stuck. Like literally knocked out, stuck, just on the ground. I mean, it was one of the most weird situations I've ever seen. Like, the dude was knocked the fuck out. Dude, that Rahman Daladiz guy, whoo, what I tell you about these Russian Dagestanian talents, man. Now we're talking about a light heavyweight who's got striking and power in his hands, and you know he can wrestle.
And he have that undefeated record that's really
7-0.
Keep people really intrigued about
now,
his.
Listen, I know we're gonna talk about like huge matchups right away, and I know we sound crazy. I want to see him against Yuri.
Right now?
Not right now.
Oh, okay.
Eventually down the road.
Yeah,
because I think Rahman, I think you need to at least get him to like 10-0 before you start getting him those crazy big matchups.
Yeah.
But down the road, him and Yuri is a fucking firefight.
Listen, in those heavyweight divisions, like those heavy divisions, the heavyweight and the light heavyweight, new blood are more than welcome because we need fresh fighters.
What about like the loser of a couple weekends light heavyweight Coco main event between Magomed and Kilov and Ion Kuntelaba? The loser of that should have to fight Rahman.
That will be interesting. That will be very interesting. So there's options. There is a lot of options. I agree with you. But
205-pound Russian coming at you, Joe. That doesn't sound scary to you guys?
Well, he is more than welcome, and you know what? We actually need fighters like him in this division.
That dude is scary.
Yeah.
We're gonna talk about yet another Russian. Okay, I'm super high on this kid, as it is, just based on his talents alone. Okay. You add in the fact that Askar Askarov is 80% deaf. I mean, it's tremendous it's fucking special what he's able to do. You got to understand, there's no thinking on the fly. If he gets rocked, he's got to figure it all out on himself. There's no listening to your coach in the corner while he's trying to scream at you. You might be able to get a minute conversation in the corner while, you take a break between rounds. But besides that, he's fighting all on his own out there. He went in there and he put on a wrestling clinic to a dangerous Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt practitioner. Alexandra Pantoja almost submitted Askar Askarov twice in the first round. Yeah. One with a very dirty guillotine that Askarov just kind of sat in for a second and worked his way out. I mean, he didn't seem like he panicked at all. He didn't, he just stayed calm and did his thing. Honestly, I'm going to say this right now. Askar Askarov is going to be the person who takes off that flyweight title from Davison Figueiredo.
Oh, really? So this is like a prediction from you?
100% Askar Askarov is going to work his way to the title. He has tremendous work ethic from what, people talk about. And you put in that work ethic with his determination and his skill, dude, deadly combination. And I mean, one of the best grapplers in the flyweight division that we've ever seen.
Since we don't have any true number one contender in this division, I think that maybe one or two more fights he can.
I would say Alex Perez and Brandon Moreno are definitely ahead of him right now as a contender.
But they're not like undisputed.
But if he got to fight one of those guys,
exactly, he
beats them, guaranteed number one contender.
And he can. Actually, I think that maybe he's even ready to fight one of them right now.
Honestly, I think Moreno's an easier matchup for Askar.
Why not?
I've tried to interview him a couple times. I did not know that he was deaf the first couple of times that we talked. He writes perfect English. Obviously, he can communicate over text, no problem. I've asked him hundreds of questions before, and I've talked to him the importance of taking his undefeated record, and he doesn't care about any of that. He's solely focused on the fight at hand. He's not, thinking about the next fight and the title shot. He was worried about Pantoja for 4 months, and he went in there and put it on Pantoja. If we did episode last week, this would have been one of the fights I would have told you guys to watch out for sure. I think that was just an amazing matchup when you put those two together, and Askar really showed that he was the better fighter that night.
What do you think is next for him? Do you think he's actually fighting against Moreno?
I think, honestly, he fights whoever doesn't get the title shot between Moreno and Perez.
Okay.
I think that's about the only place you could put him. It's going to suck because I wouldn't want to be Perez or Moreno, because you're not going to get a title shot if you have to fight Askarov.
Yeah.
Now, this young lady I've been high on since her UFC debut. She hasn't shown us the violence that she has really brought into the cage before she joined the UFC. But let me tell you what, Ariana Lipski showed us that violence on Saturday night. Probably one of the most nastiest knee bars you've ever seen. Luana Carolina just completely screams in pain. I mean, you heard it echoing. I mean, the one thing about a knee bar is usually you don't have that type of leverage on it. And the way she was able to just pull her whole body into it, I mean, it was one of the nastiest things I've seen in the UFC cage when it comes to submissions in a very, very long time, especially in the female division.
She did with the leg what normally a person will do with an arm.
Yes.
Which is scary and crazy.
It was like when Zabit beat who did he fight?
Yeah, I know exactly.
You know what I'm talking about, right? Yeah.
But I think that this one looked more scary actually, because we saw the leg actually bending the wrong way, which was actually really scary. But yeah, this submission is definitely one of the best, maybe even the best submission during this quarantine time.
Submission of the year.
Yeah, maybe I believe there was a twister. From Bryce
Harper hit that twister, man. Bryce Harper in that twister. That dude's so good at that. You could tell that it's just a natural movement for him. It's not something that he hits off of luck. He's literally looking for it.
Yeah, but this one, man, it was nasty. I believe that on Instagram, the video and the picture of her doing the submission went viral. So it's good for her. It's good for her career.
Violence.
Yeah. Perfect performance.
In the lightweight division, Mark DeCasey dropped a decision to Rafael Fiziev. I've never heard anybody ever kick like Rafael Fiziev. I don't know how Mark DeCasey took all those shots. Honestly, I wanted to drop to my knees just hearing them. It was literally like a baseball bat hitting this man's stomach. Rafael Fiziev is a very good kickboxer, and he showed just that. He is a Thai instructor in Thailand. I mean, it's saying a lot, because in Thailand, they don't fuck around with their kickboxing. So the instructor is the shit.
Well, to outstrike a guy like Mark DeCasey, it's pretty tough, because I believe that he's one of the most skillful striker maybe in his division.
Well, I don't know about his division. You got Conor McGregor in that division.
I know, but I said one of the most skillful. I'm not saying that he's the best, but he has some skills, man. Like, he can throw some crazy shit.
He's very elusive, and he's got power for sure.
Yeah. So Rafael actually, like you said, those body kicks, man, like they were
Oh my
nasty.
gosh, dude! Like, I even like sent you videos of them. Like, you could hear it, man. It was like
Yeah, everything.
deafening. And I think really, Felder said it was a Felder. Yeah, Felder said it best. With the situation with no fans, it really played a fight like that. You heard every single one of them. Here, let's see if it can go through the mic real quick. Ooh.
Yeah. You actually think that it's a whip or a baseball bat? When you hear the wind, it's scary. He's a scary fighter.
It's tremendous leg kicks. Let me tell you what. I am scared to whoever he has to fight next. Okay, here's what I'm saying. Put him up against a wrestler. I want to know what he could do off his back. If he is just as good or can get by like Izzy does, where he could just get back up, we got a killer on our hands at lightweight.
Well, you know that in the lightweight division, it's not a division where you can actually escape some type of fighters. There's so many great fighters. They can give him Gregor Gillespie because he lost his last fight against Kevin Lee, so this can be a good matchup for both of them, I think. Maybe not ready for an Islam because listen, Islam should be maybe even fighting for the belt right now. If we're talking about if everything was correct, Islam would actually had top five ranked fighters. But it is what it is. But I agree with you, Rafael. We need to see him against a grappler, to see exactly how good he actually is.
I mean, his kickboxing is phenomenal. I just want to know if his takedown defense is just as good.
Yeah, I think that we will find out pretty soon.
In the co-main event, Jack Hermanson really went in there and put on a show, a beautiful performance, another knee bar. This time he caught it on Calvin Gastelum 1 minute and 18 seconds into the fight. Did you see that fight playing out that way? Because in my opinion, I didn't think it was going to go like that at all.
Well, to have Kelvin lose by submission in the first round is kind of something that nobody would bet against, I believe.
Right. It's just an interesting situation. You could tell Jack was looking for it from the very beginning. It was something that he was going for.
Yeah.
He was not shy from it, and he ended up, doing what he had to do.
Now I have actually to give you my rant about something about this fight. About two things. First of all, Jack Hermanson, before his fight against Jared Cannonier, he was actually one of the guys that we were talking about to have maybe pretty soon a title fight.
Shot,
yes. Then he lost, and now he bounced back up. So we'll see. I think that doesn't make him exactly where he were back then. But now maybe with more 2 or 3 fights, maybe just 2, maybe just 1, he can go back to where he was actually. But I
really think if he fights the winner of this weekend's fights, Darren Till versus Robert Whittaker, I really think that catapults whoever wins that fight to a title shot.
And he actually deserves it. Now I want to talk to you about Kelvin Gastelum because
Gastelum has never I don't think he's ever been finished in the first round.
I know, but I had actually an issue with him for a long time, okay? He lost to Chris Weidman back when Chris Weidman was just losing fights, okay?
Yes.
Then he fought against Michael Bisping, who just lost against GSP, and he was, he was going to retire, and he didn't look like Michael Bisping during that fight, okay? He won that fight weirdly with a knockout in the first round. Then he fought against Jacare and won in a split decision where we can talk about it if he actually really won. And then he fought for the belt, which for me is crazy. He gave us a good performance against Israel Adesanya.
He looked very good against Israel.
I think that he had a good chin and he's punchable. That's why it was a good fight, We saw a lot of Israel Adesanya striking during that fight. Then he lost to Darren Till in a split decision, and he lost right now to Jack Hermanson. So in his last 6 fights, he lost 4, okay? How the hell are people still talking about Kelvin like he is a actual top 5 ranked fighter? Where for me, when I see his last performances, Gastelum actually, for me, should never have fought for the belt.
I see where you're coming from.
Do you
But
agree with me?
at that time, who would you have put Izzy against?
Listen,
Calvin
come
was
on.
already getting the title shot against Robert Whittaker. He just beat fucking Anderson. What do you bring Cannonier in? Cannonier wasn't ready. He didn't beat Hermanson yet.
Yeah, but I don't know, man. I think that Kelvin got pushed way too high.
I think he was probably just beneficial of the schedule at the time.
And don't get me wrong, I like Kelvin. He's a great fighter, but
kind of seems like you hate him, bro.
No, it's not that I hate him. No. Don't get me wrong. I don't hate a fighter. I don't have any reason to hate on the fighter. And good for him to have those opportunities that maybe some fighters deserve them more than him, actually. Because in my head, Jacare, when he was on top, when Jacare was one of the scariest fighters in his division and nobody wanted to fight him, he wasn't fighting for the belt.
Let me ask you a serious question. Is this more about Mr. Calvin Gastelum getting his title shots, or is this about Jacare not getting his title shots?
Well, it's a little bit of everything. Because for me, and this is how great actually Robert Whittaker is, because Robert Whittaker is the actually only one who fought Jacare when nobody wanted to fight Jacare, when he was just submitting people and killing them in the cage. So I think I don't know. This is also tell you how about Jack Hermanson actually is a great fighter, because Kelvin is no joke. Yeah. So Jack actually should be considered with the top 3, top 4, even top 5 fighters right now in this division.
Top 5. Obviously, you have Izzy.
Yeah.
You have Paulo Costa.
Yeah.
I would say top 6. Paulo Costa, Izzy. You got Whittaker Till. You got Cannonier.
Well, he's actually right there with the
Hermanson would be 6.
I think that Hermanson is actually right
there with Cannonier's
the
next fighter who's fighting for the title, in my opinion. He's done enough.
I think Paulo Costa would be fighting for the belt.
Well, no, okay. Sorry. After the Paulo Costa fight, in my eyes, that shit's signed, sealed, delivered. We're getting a fight in September.
Maybe.
Well, if you pay attention to everyone's Instagrams, like you say you do, Izzy showed a signed contract the other day on his stories.
They are fighting. There's no doubt about it. They are fighting.
It's a main event.
They are fighting, brother. They are fighting.
Izzy's gonna win.
We'll see. I have no issue with Izzy winning the fight.
Yeah, you do. I see you mad over there.
No. I have no issue with Izzy.
Let's talk about this flyweight title fight, man. Davis and Figueiredo went in there and just really took Joseph Benavidez out. It was simple as that. I want to talk about one thing about Benavidez, though. The dude's got heart for days, man. I mean, the amount of shots that he took, the rear naked chokes that he survived, a lesser man would have been done in that fight in a minute and a half.
I agree with you. He actually
he literally went out on his sword.
Died by the sword. I agree with you. Joseph Benavidez is a true warrior, but it's kind of sad to see this, because I believe that he's the one who actually deserves to be a flyweight champion after Demetrius Johnson. Yes. But it is what it is. Life sucks.
Listen, if you're new to jiu-jitsu and you're actually practicing jiu-jitsu, you should definitely watch that fight. The first 3 rear naked choke attempts that Davis and Figueiredo had were literally a how-to clinic on how to escape rear naked chokes.
Yeah.
The only problem was the 4th one was the deepest, and it put him to sleep.
Yeah, but he fought like a maniac against those submissions.
Yeah,
he got knockdowns 2 times. Figueiredo was
big knockdowns too. The first knockdown, honestly, I thought he was done. I seen the first time, I was like, here we go again. It's done. And then he got the rear naked choke. I was like, oh, it's over. No, man. Joseph showed tons of heart. Gets out of that rear naked choke. Gets into another rear naked choke about 30, 40 seconds after his got out. Gets out of another one. Gets back on his feet. Gets dropped again. Big right hand by Figueiredo, man. That dude has dynamite in his hands. Dynamite.
Now let me ask you a question. Let's say Henry Cejudo comebacks for a title fight. Do you want to see him fight against Peter Yan or against Figueiredo?
I would rather see him fight against Figueiredo.
Oh,
In
really?
my opinion, he comes back for Jan or
No.
somebody in that bantamweight division. I don't see him cutting to 25.
I think if he comes back, actually, he's fighting against Volkanovski.
True. I think that's honestly the best decision for him going forward. If you really want to secure the legacy as the best ever in MMA,
Yeah.
right now he's the best combat sports athlete of all time. He's not the best MMA fighter of all time.
I agree with you. Now,
a win over Volkanovski for that featherweight title,
yeah,
makes him the greatest MMA fighter of all time.
Now, before we recorded this episode, I told you I talked a little bit shit about this card, okay?
Yes.
And now that I little bit think about why for me it was shit, I think that the issue for me is Dana White. So let me explain to you something. Dana White's been shitting on this division for years.
But he said it's back.
Yeah,
he officially said it. This is the first time he's ever said, like, hey, we're fucking doing this.
Then why the fuck would you put a title fight in a card like that? What I mean is, why don't you put this main event in a more interesting card where you will have more people watching, actually?
I get where you're coming from. You could have easily flipped one of the 3 title fights from a couple of weeks ago and put it in this place.
Exactly. Holloway can sell a card all by himself.
Yeah, but you're not going to give Holloway away for free. And that's what Dana's thinking. I think you would have had to put that Jan Aldo fight. But then again, I mean, Jan Aldo sells pay-per-views, so that's why they did it. Jan Aldo sells more pay-per-views than Deiveson Figueiredo and Joseph Benavidez, no matter what.
Well, yeah, but
when you put those 4 title fights together, you look at them all in a row, you say, what's your least title fight? You put that one as the main event of a fight night. And they made the right decision. You couldn't have put this in a bigger role because it's not deserving for these guys.
I don't know. I think that he can do a better job with this division.
What do you want him to do, bro?
Like, I think that, he said that he made a Ultimate Fighter season just for them. I think that he's actually throwing like the minimal thing that he can actually do. And he's
Askar Askarov coming up to kill everybody. It's not his fault.
Yeah, that's what we need. That's what actually we need, so that Dana White can open his eyes and actually see that this division. Listen, you need to treat them like they are actually really high stars for them to become stars. And he's not doing it.
I'll give you that. He's definitely not putting the attention that he is putting on other fighters and other divisions for sure. But it's to be determined to see how the future of this division is going to go. It's obviously here for now, and we'll see how much longer it's going to be here for. This was Fight Island 2? In my opinion, pretty good card. I'm not mad at it at all. I thought it was very good for the second Fight Island card. Fight Island 3, though, man, that main event is amazing. We're going to talk about it here in our very next video here in a second. Robert Whittaker versus Darren Till. Holy shit. What a great main event, man.
Crazy.
Well, anything else on Benavidez versus Deiveson Figueiredo 2?
Well, I don't know. I don't know what to say about this card because I don't think that it was a card that a lot of people actually really watched. And for that, I blame Dana White because I think that he can do a better job promoting this division. But other than that, like you said, those fights actually delivered. For me, it's too sad that it was in a card that I don't think that really did great numbers.
All right, listen, Deiveson Figueiredo, I'm talking to you, and you only right now. You are the 125-pound champion. Don't go to 135.
Yeah, please
fight somebody in your division.
Yeah.
Okay? That's all we fucking want you to do right now. Fight somebody at 125 pounds. Do not go to 130. If 135er wants to come down to you, fair game. Welcome. Cody No Love, come to 25. Do not go to 35. Every 25 champion eventually has jumped to 25 besides Mr. DJ. I don't want to see it again. It really just fucked up a lot of shit when Henry did it.
Dude, McGregor actually started something that kind of ruined everything.
Yeah, it just went downhill for a while. I mean,
Yeah.
look at the light heavyweight division was held up by DC for a while till John Jones came back. I mean, I don't want to see it. Davison Figueiredo, stay at 125, defend your title 5 times, then go.
And then do whatever the fuck you want.
That about wraps it up for Figueiredo versus Benavidez for me. Wally, well, anything else?
Nope.
All right,
I'm
then,
good.
knuckleheads, stay classy. We're out.
Peace.